The reality is that the roadblock to comprehensive immigration reform in this town for the last year has actually been, frankly, your party in the House. So where's the gap between what you just said and the reality on the legislative ground in Washington, which is that's why this hasn't happened?
So you don't think when the President of the United States uses powers he may or may not have, but clearly knows that it will be more than provocative to use executive order powers to try to deal with immigration, that's not provocative and that's not a deterrent?
Well,
or do you don't think that?
But the problem came from arguably came in the preceding year, not now.
Okay, well, I would argue that there's enough blame to go on both sides, and I would say that we've missed opportunities on our side to shift the focus away from the argument solely exclusive on controlling the border to how do we shift to an economically driven immigration system. I think that's the missed opportunity for Republicans. I think that there's no trust anymore that the executive will enforce the laws, so we're stuck. And it's a shame because this is actually the easier thing of the 5 things that I mentioned. It's the one that is the least complex, where there's less political discord, in my opinion, and it's a huge shame because it's also probably the easiest way to get to sustained economic growth, which is what we desperately need. So hopefully the Republicans, rather than have their heads explode with the president's executive actions, which I think are, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say that they're unconstitutional. Let's call them extra constitutional. Mm-hmm. They're a stretch. They're a stretch way beyond what the executive authority by any other president has been used. And the idea that, well, Reagan did it, my dad did it, they did it on a much smaller scale, they did it with the consent of Congress. There's a lot of differences between what happened back then 30 years ago and what happened now. This lack of trust makes it harder for it to happen, and it's a shame.
And is your problem with what the president did the substance of what he's proposed to do, or with the way he has proposed to do it?
It's the way. First of all, I don't know the exact details. I mean, frankly, to do something, he didn't permanently change things because he doesn't have anywhere near close that authority to do it. He did it, he extended, he granted a deferral of the execution of the law for a couple of years. So these people are still in limbo. Mm-hmm. What we need to do is to get to some certainty for people, 11 million people that are here, 5 million of which he dealt with. We need to find some way, some certainty to get them some legal status and move to a system that is more economically driven. The system we have today, we're the only country in the world that has spouse, minor children, adult siblings, and adult parents as the definition of family. Every other country has spouse and minor children that I'm aware of. Please don't PolitiFact me, whoever is following this. I think that's true, though. So if you narrowed it, and which is what Canada has, if we could emulate the Canada model, which is totally economically driven, 13 to 15% of their immigrants come through family petitioning, and 70 to 75% come for economic purposes based on economic need. They actually, believe it or not, Canada's sophisticated enough to know where their shortages of labor are. Wow, what a radical innovation to be able to know that. I imagine we could probably figure that out with people in this room alone in the United States.